Hello, dear students. I'm your computer teacher, Pankaj Kumar, and this is the video for class 8. And in this video, I'm going to revise some topics which is related to chapter number 1. You can see I am going to discuss about functions of an operating system, and following functions are device management, file management, memory management, processor management, and many more functions. And second topic is types of operating system, that is batch operating system, time sharing operating system, distributed operating system, network operating system, real time operating system. And real time is further divided into two types: hard real time system and soft real time system. So we will discuss these topics in this class. You can see in the previous class, I have discussed some of the commonly used functions in MS Excel. Sum function, average function, max function, min functions, count number functions, and today function. And I have also discussed about error messages in MS Excel 2010. So let us come to this topic, functions of an operating system. First function is device management. One of the most important functions of an operating system is the management of all computers, internal and external hardware. Whatever devices which are attached to the computer, our operating system is responsible for management of those internal or external hardware devices which is attached to the computer. Okay, our operating system like Windows 7, Windows 10, Linux, these all are operating system which are uh, which are responsible for device management. You can see the program of the operating system which is responsible for device management is known as IO controller, and that program is known as input output controller. IO controller means input output controller, and it has the following work. First, it keeps track of all the devices which is attached to your computer, means it keeps the record of your devices which is attached to the computer. Second, it decides which process gets the device when and for how much time. Suppose you are playing music in your computer and a speaker has been attached to your computer, then it will decide, your operating system will decide for how much time your speaker will work. Okay, it will decide which process gets the device when and for how much time. Okay. Third, it controls all the connected devices. Now, second function is file management. A file system is normally organized into directories for easy navigation and usage. Directories means folders. So a file system is normally organized into files and normally organized into folders for easy navigation and usage. Operating system does the following activities for file management. And this is the work of the operating system which keeps a record of the files. Okay, and it arranges the file into different directories so that we can easily navigate the file and we can easily use it. So operating system does the following activities for file management. First, it keeps the track of information, location, usage, status, etc. It keeps the track of information. It keeps the record of what type of file is it, where it is located in the memory, what is the status of the file. Okay, means when you have opened the file, and what is the use of that type of file, which type of file is it, whether it is document file, PDF file, or any another video file, audio file. So it keeps all the records. It keeps all the record of that file. Second, it decides who get the resources. And third, it allocates the resources. So these are the work which is responsible for file management. Okay. Now, next is memory management. Our operating system is also responsible for management of the main memory. Okay, that is primary memory. Memory management refers to the management of main memory, okay, or primary memory. And our operating system is responsible for the management of main memory. If a program is executed, it must be in the main memory. Suppose you have given instruction to the CPU, okay, you have prepared a program and given the instruction to the CPU, then that program must be loaded in the main memory for processing. Okay, if a program is executed, it must be in the main memory. Second point, the operating system keeps track of primary memory. That is, what part of it are in use and what part are not in use. Means whatever program which is loaded in the main memory, it is known as RAM. So operating system keeps the record of RAM, what part of RAM are in use and what part of RAM are not in use. Okay. So third point, coming to the third point, the operating system is also in charge of accessing, storing and retrieving data on the computer's hard drive. It is the work of the operating system which is responsible for accessing, storing and retrieving data on the computer's hard drive, which is a type of secondary memory. Okay. Or our operating system is also responsible for storing the files in our pen drive, storing and accessing the files in our pen drive. Next work of the operating system is the processor management. Operating system decides which process gets the processor, when and how much time. Suppose you have given 10 programs, 10 different programs to computer. Okay. So it means that computer CPU has got 10 different kinds of instruction for processing it. So it is the work of the operating system. It will decide which process gets the processor, when and for how much time. This function is called process scheduling, and the program responsible for this task is known as traffic controller. So there is a traffic controller in the operating system, okay, which is responsible for uh, process scheduling, okay, processor, which task gets the processor first, okay, and when and for how much time. Second, operating system does the following activities for processor management. Now, three more points, three more work of the operating system. First, it keeps the processor and status of the process. Suppose you are copying a file from one location to another. So operating system keeps the record of that file, how much copy it has made and how much is remaining. Operating system keeps the track of everything. Okay. How much percentage is left and how much percentage is copied. It keeps the record. Second, it allocates the processor to a process. Processor is also known as CPU here. Okay. So it allocates the processor to a specific work. It allocates the processor to a process. Next is it deallocates the processor when the processor is no longer required. Suppose there is no use of processor, then it also deallocates the processor. Now coming to the next topic, children, types of operating system. As you have studied that there are 5 types of operating system, which is given in your book: batch operating system, time sharing operating system, distributed operating system, network operating system, and real-time operating system. So first, coming to batch operating system. A batch operating system is one in which jobs are bundled together in batches with the necessary instructions. These types of operating systems are used in factories or industries where a bundle of jobs are, many different jobs are bundled together. Okay, where we make a bundle of jobs and these jobs are set in the form of batches, and these batches are given to the operator for processing. Okay, these batches are given to the computer for processing it. The user of the batch operating system do not interact with the computer directly. The user in a batch operating system cannot interact with the computer directly. You can see the picture of the batch operating system. There are 4 users. Okay, they have different jobs. So these jobs are given to the operator. Now, what is the work of operator here? Operator is any person. He will decide the similar jobs into batches. Okay, so he has made 2 batches. Some jobs are in batch number 1 and some jobs are attached in batch number 2. And these batches are in the form of a punch card, which is given to the computer for processing it. Okay, so once the operator has set the batches and these batches are given to the computer, the user cannot interact with the work of the operating system. Okay. Now the problems with the batch operating system are as follows. Some of the problems which appear with the batch operating system. First, lack of interaction between the user and the job. Second, CPU is often idle because the speed of the mechanical input-output devices is slower than the CPU. The use of CPU is not 100% in this case because the mechanical input-output devices, the speed of the mechanical input-output devices is much slower than the CPU, the speed of the CPU. Okay, that's why there is no 100% use of CPU. CPU is often idle in this case. And third, it is difficult to provide the desired priority. Suppose 10 jobs are or 50 jobs are given to the operating system. So the user cannot decide the first job which is to be done. Means it is very difficult to provide the desired priority to a specific job. User cannot give priority to a specific job. Okay. Now coming to the time sharing operating system. Time sharing operating system is a technique which enables many people located at various terminals to a particular computer system at the same time. Means many users are connected to the same CPU for their processing of the task. Okay, and processor's time which is shared among multiple users simultaneously, and it is termed as time sharing, and that's why it has a name, time sharing operating system. You can understand this with the help of this picture. Suppose in this picture there are 6 users. Okay, and all the users are having different tasks which is given to the CPU, and CPU is processing all the tasks at the same time. Means CPU is processing all the tasks simultaneously. Okay, but what is actually happening here, the first CPU is giving a fraction of time to the first task, and then CPU jumps to the second task. Here the CPU also gives a fraction of second to this task, and the CPU jumps to the user number 3 to the next task. Okay, and again the CPU gives a fraction of second to this task, and again the CPU jumps to the next task. And this process is so fast that it resembles that all the process is taking place at the same time. Okay, this is in the form of a cycle, and this process is repeated very fast. Okay, now you have understood about time sharing operating system in which time is shared among different users. Now coming to distributed operating system. Distributed systems use multiple central processors to serve multiple real-time applications and multiple users. Data processing jobs are distributed among the processors accordingly. It means what? In distributed operating system, there are multiple processors. There is more than one CPU. Processors are also known as CPU. So in this distributed operating system, there are more than one CPU, and there are many tasks which is given to the CPU, and all the tasks are distributed among different CPU. Suppose there are hundreds of tasks, then all the hundreds of tasks are distributed among different CPU of the system. Okay, so that all the tasks are processed within a very less interval of time. Okay, and all the CPU are working simultaneously so that the work will be completed on time. Okay, the work will complete on time. Okay, now next one, advantages of distributed system. What can be the advantage of distributed system? First, failure of one node does not lead to the failure of the entire distributed system. You can see in this distributed operating system, suppose one of the CPU is not working, there is some error with one of the CPU, then it doesn't means that that work will not be completed. The entire work of that CPU, the entire work of that particular CPU will be transferred to another CPU. Okay, so there is no chance of failure of the work. Okay, failure of one node does not lead to the failure of the entire distributed system. Second, better service to the customers. Third, reduction of delays in data processing. As you can see, there are multiple processors. So you can say there is a reduction in data processing because all the CPU are working simultaneously so that it can save the time. So there is a reduction in data processing. And last one, reduction of load on the host computer. There is a reduction of load on the host computer. Now coming to network operating system. As the name suggests, network operating system, it is used for network, it is used for networking. Okay, so network operating system runs on a server and gives the server the capability to manage data, users, groups, security, applications, and other networking functions. So this type of operating system is used on server where many computers are attached in a group. Okay, for what purpose? For the management of data, for the management of users, groups, security, for the distribution of applications and other networking functions. The basic purpose of the network operating system is to allow shared files and printer access among multiple computers in a network. Suppose there are hundreds of computers and there is only one printer. There are hundreds of computers and there is only one printer. Then this is the work of network operating system, that only one printer will be shared among hundreds of users. Okay, there is no need to buy hundreds printers separately. The same printer will be shared with each and every system. Okay, so the basic purpose of the network operating system is to allow shared files and printer access among multiple computers in a network. Some of the examples of network operating system include Microsoft, Windows Server 2008, Unix, Linux, Mac OS X, Novel Network, etc. Now you can see the picture of a network operating system. You can see this is the main server, okay, which is attached with different kinds of clients. Okay, these are agent computers, means these are clients which are attached to the server computer, and this on this server computer there is an administrator which controls all the client computer. Okay, you can see this is the administrator computer. Okay, it is the it has the network operating system and it is able to control all the clients. These agents computers are known as clients computer. Okay, these are agent computers, means these are client computers. So the administrator here, what is the work of the administrator? It is able to control all the clients, means it is able to uh, it is able to control all the clients. It is able to uh, it is able for the sharing of files and application softwares. It is able to share the resources like printers, etc. Okay, So in network operating system, the server computer is the server computer is able to control all the client's computer. It is also able to share files, application softwares, and hardware resources. Now you can see advantages of network operating system. Centralized servers are highly stable. Second, upgrades to new technologies and the hardware can be easily integrated into the system. Third, remote access to the servers is easily possible from different locations. So in network operating system, remote access is possible. Means if you are here and suppose you are in Patna and another, you want to access another computer which is in Delhi, you can easily access that computer with the help of remote service. Okay. And you can see in this picture, there is a centralized server which is highly stable. So if the server stops working, the entire there will be a failure in the entire network. Okay. But if there is a failure in the client computer, the entire network is not going to be affected. Okay. So next is the disadvantage of network operating system. First, high cost of buying and running a server. It is very costly of buying and running a server. Second, dependency on the central location for, for most operations. You have to depend on the central location. And third, regular maintenance and updates are required. Now, next one is the real-time operating system. A real-time operating system is defined as the data processing system in which the time interval required to process and respond to inputs is so small that it controls the environment. Means this type of operating system is used where the time is very critical. You have to do that work in required interval of time. Okay, like suppose you have to use this real-time operating system in missile launching, in satellite launching, in scientific projects, etc. So in this method, response time is very less. Now you can see some more points. A real-time operating system must have well-defined fixed time constants. Time is very critical. Okay, time is very important and all the works are done. The command is processed within the required interval of time. Otherwise, the system will fail. For example, scientific experiments, medical imaging system, industrial constant system, robots, missile, aircraft, satellite launching, etc. And real-time operating system, it is of two types, hard real-time system and soft real-time systems. So thank you, students. I hope you have understood the topics very nicely. Thanks for watching this video.